An update now on Lara Logan. She is the CBS News correspondent who was beaten and sexually assaulted while covering the Egyptian revolution. Logan was attacked after being separated from her crew in Tahrir Square last Friday. She has now been released from hospital and is said to be recovering at home in Washington with her family. Today, Logan received a phone call from Barack Obama. CBS says the U.S. president called to express good wishes for Logan's recovery. Well, her story prompted us to want to take an in-depth look at women in Egypt and whether the country's new reality will be a positive thing for them. Joining me now is Mona Eltahawy. She is a columnist and public speaker on Arab and Muslim issues. Good evening. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So the numbers in many ways are shocking. Shocking to read that and learn that more than 80% of women say they have been sexually harassed in Egypt. 4 out of 5 women say they have been sexually assaulted, and it happens in public. Tell us, what is life like for a woman in Egypt?
Well, you know, sadly, before the revolution started, myself and most women I knew had been sexually harassed on the street, you know, either being groped or hearing disgusting things or have cars stop and try to pick us up. And myself, I mean, I'm a journalist. I know many other journalists who, like me, have also been sexually harassed by the police. In fact, the Mubarak regime was known for targeting women protesters and women journalists. And while covering a court case once, a riot policeman groped my breast. So this is not new. It's a sad reality in Egypt. But I think what changed in Tahrir Square was that the women I know who spent night after night there said it was the safest area in Cairo, and they experienced no sexual harassment in Tahrir Square. So I'm hoping they take that spirit of Tahrir and use it as we rebuild Egypt after Hosni Mubarak.
Well, what about the case of Lara Logan then? Was she targeted because she was a journalist, because she was a foreigner, because of the light color of her skin? That goes against what the other women are telling you is happening right now.
You know, I'd hate to speculate as to why Lara Logan was assaulted. I just want to condemn unequivocally the sexual assault and the beating that she faced, and I want to send her the good wishes of every Egyptian I know. I also want to remind your viewers that it was Egyptian women who rescued her from this brutal attack, and I hope that she makes a speedy recovery. What happened exactly, we don't know. I hope that people come forward and tell us who her attackers were and bring them to justice. But what I do know was that she was attacked after Hosni Mubarak stepped down at a time when Tahrir Square was opened up to everyone. So it wasn't just the people there. This is not me trying to romanticize the people in Tahrir Square, but it's me trying to wonder who else came into the square at a time of, you know, just kind of hundreds and thousands of people being there. Again, I don't want to speculate who it was, but remember that journalists had been targeted by the Mubarak regime, and Lara Logan herself had said in interviews that she had been detained by the military.
Why has harassment been tolerated for so long? What are the roots of it?
You know, it's interesting because in my parents' generation, they don't remember street sexual harassment being so obvious in Egypt when they were young men and women, our parents generally. I think what's happened over the past few decades is that harassment became this thing that women were blamed for, this kind of increasing political repression that also turned into religious repression, because you had the Mubarak regime and you had all these other forces who were just kind of squeezing the country out of all political and social life. And women ended up being often the target of this, in that they were blamed for their sexual harassment. It became something that you were ashamed of and you were not supposed to speak of. And so when women did try to share their stories, they were basically told, you know, this is shameful, don't talk about it. Over the past few years, however, many feminist groups, I have many feminists who are activists in Egypt, they've been trying to tackle this head on. And there's a great new campaign, it's more like an initiative called Harass Map, where women have been encouraged to kind of send text messages and tweets to say where they were harassed or where they faced any kind of harassment or assault, as a way to encourage women to speak out more. So again, I'm hoping that as we move forward in, you know, revolutionary Egypt, the women who are in Tahrir Square, who have been empowered and emboldened by this political experience, use it to speak out and say this is not about shame. The shame should be on those who assault us and not on the women who are not to blame for these assaults.
Mona Eltahawy, thank you very much for being on our program tonight. Really enjoyed speaking with you.